All right, so we're here with Luc Wylder, the husband of Alexandra Silk. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too, brother.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
I read somewhere you're from the East Coast too.
Absolutely, yeah. Hudson County, New Jersey.
Yeah?
Yep.
East Coast, like I said, East Coast mentality, you know what I mean?
You were Bronx and Brooklyn, right? I did my first movie ever in Brooklyn.
Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Porn movie?
Fetish movies. Porn, but fetish, SM, B&D. That's where I had my roots. So there were companies like Bazaar and Gotham Gold, and you remember the guys Vince Benedetti and Paul Letterman.
I remember
those guys.
I never met Benedetti, but I definitely heard his name numerous times.
Yeah.
And of course, Bazaar, is that Keith or who was that?
Morty was Keith's dad. Yeah, that's when I started back then. Yeah.
And that's Yako's, Yako.
Yako is Morty's brother.
Right.
And Morty was like a stepfather to me. He was really my mentor.
No shit.
At the end, just between you and I, he wouldn't talk to his own son, but he talked to me.
I know the story because I'm good friends with Yako.
Right, so you know how that all went down. And I'd go down to Florida and visit Morty. Mm-hmm. And Yako's got a great smile, right? When he's happy to see you. Yeah. Morty was the same way, man. I would walk into the room and his smile would light up like the Cheshire cat, Yeah. He was always so happy to see us. Morty, he really was a man of integrity and ethics. Yeah.
I see that the same way with Yako.
Those were men that got by on a handshake. Never had to do more than that. The contract was irrelevant. The handshake was all that mattered.
Right, your word meant something.
Fuck yeah, but now,
Well, I mean, it's probably that way for a long time. That's why all the lawyers came about making contracts.
Sure.
But with certain people, their word meant something.
Absolutely.
Which is nice to know those people and do business with those people.
And there's an East Coast mentality that we were all part of, right? Where if I told you I was going to do something, I did it. And if I didn't, there was a really good reason, like my mother had just passed away or something. Like people were good to their word. I remember the first day I arrived out here in California. My ex-wife was working with this woman and her husband was there too. We all became friends that evening. They said to me, "You guys seem like really nice people. Let's all go out to dinner tomorrow." And we agreed, and that was it, right? Now on the East Coast, you could make reservations. It didn't matter. You'd start calling your babysitter. All the plans are set. But out here, I didn't get that yet. So I figured we were really going to have dinner the next day. But I woke up the next morning, I called them, I got no answer. So with my East Coast mentality, I'm like, they're cooking dinner or they're getting ready. They're out, whatever. Mm-hmm. Called them again later on in the day, still no answer. It turns out they missed the dinner appointment. They never showed up. They just totally California flaked on me. And the next time I saw them, they didn't even remember having made plans to go out to dinner. They're like, "Huh? Dude, you should have called us." Anyway, that's not how it is with people from the East Coast. Right, yeah. And that's made it difficult for me to do business out here in California. Fallen Angel at one point was a distribution company, a VHS warehouse, and we distributed for 12 other production companies, right?
Oh, so let's start at the beginning. So Fallen Angel started in New York or Jersey?
No, I started Fallen Angel out here in California.
Okay. So,
yeah. How'd that happen?
Yeah. Well, let's go slow. So I'm curious about you. Just a couple of little facts. You're not a Pornstar girl, you know what I mean? But still, I'm interested, you know what I mean? You're from Jersey. You're Irish. You're English. You're
Irish Catholic.
Irish Catholic.
Yeah.
Oi.
With all the history behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of history?
You see the movie The Irishman?
Yeah.
The day I graduated high school, I got a job as a Teamster. my grandfather was one of the original founding forefathers of the Teamsters Union. Jimmy Hoffa, he was at my grandfather's testimonial. I used to sit on his lap.
Hoffa's lap?
So on Hoffa's lap. So for 18 years, I was a Teamster. I worked with the union.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
You strike me as that type of guy a little bit. You know, I grew up in a working class environment, you know, trucking, you know what I mean? So what kind of union was it? Or what type?
Teamsters Union, we drove heavy equipment.
Okay.
I worked at a thoroughbred racetrack for many years. So those guys that are out there driving the big tractors and the water trucks and all, that's the job we did.
So you're driving a water truck?
Tractors and water trucks. And
I know about tractors a little bit.
Yeah.
What kind of tractor?
John Deere.
So not like a bulldozer, but like a tractor.
A big tractor that can pull anything. You know, you've seen them at the thoroughbred races, right?
I've never been.
You've never been to a
fucking race. You believe that?
I've been to so many in my lifetime, I can't imagine. But yeah, they rework the track each time after the race, so we water it down to get the right moisture content, and then you rake it out to make it a smooth, even running surface.
So a tractor just drags something.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's cool. I don't know. Yeah. So I got to go to a fucking race. I swear to you, after all the experiences all around the world I've never been to a fucking horse race or even a dog race. You know what I mean?
I do.
Is it fun?
It was a great job. It paid really well. I had children early. So today I'm a grandfather, but I had my first kid at 20 years old. So I had this great job with full medical package and benefits. And in 1976, I was making $10.75 an hour. So
that's pretty good money.
That was great money back then, plus all the overtime. And on Sundays, we got double time and a half. You know, it was great, man. Yeah, it was a good job. And at the same time, though, I was studying. I was in college. I was studying photography. I was always an audiophile. Like when I was a young kid, when we went to work so that we could afford to buy music. You'd buy record albums, right? And then all your friends, like I had a group of friends, there must have been like 10 of us or so. We would all gather together in our basements. Like when you bought a record, you came and you shared it with your friends. So it was a real communal type of environment.
I kind of remember something like that. Give me an example of a record. I'm guessing rock and roll.
Yeah, like Yes, Fragile, you know, like Black Sabbath, the first Paranoid album, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Tarkus, right? Yeah, all that music.
I loved it all.
Yep.
Those are good times. So that's cool. So I figured that's the type of person you grew up as. For some reason, I get that. You know, you kind of direct. You know what I mean? So what? Did you ever do any fighting in school? Because New York fighting, I just can't dwell on this, but I'm always interested in fighting. You know what I mean?
Well, you studied boxing, right? You were a boxer when you were a kid.
I never was a boxer. I studied a lot of things: boxing, JKD for many years, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, kung fu. You know, a lot of stuff, Thai boxing, you know what I mean? So a lot of stuff I studied.
Right. I studied Aikido when I was a kid. In third grade, I bought a book called Aikido for Boys. You remember, like in grammar school when I was a kid, we had these book sales, right? And you'd look forward to the book sale, and your mother would give you like $12 to go to school and buy your books. Well, I bought this book called Aikido for Boys, and it introduced me to a philosophy and a martial art that, you know, kind of, it's not traditional. It's more about reconciling your opponent than it is defeating him. Aikido, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
is that what Seagal studied?
Yeah, but you know, he took it to a theatrical level. Like all of those things where he was breaking somebody's arm, those are meant to be holes. Like you're not supposed to go all the way through and break the arm. You're supposed to reconcile your opponent. And I applied the philosophy of Aikido to my life. So, you know, very often people were saying that I was practicing social Aikido when I would just kind of try to deflect somebody else's negativity away from me and just go the other way. That's always been me. I'd rather go the other way than have to stand there and, like be in direct conflict with somebody. You're a powerful guy and you can often win in that position, but I feel like I always win by going the other direction and letting them stew in their own shit.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's nice that you're always thinking. That's the thinking ahead,
Right.
You don't let your aggression get the best of you.
Sobriety's got something to do with that too. I've been sober for 35 years.
Oh, so you were...
So I've been sober for 35 years, right? I was not an alcoholic. There were other things involved back then. In 1985, you could imagine.
Cocaine.
My parents lived in Key Biscayne, Florida.
Cocaine.
You could imagine, right?
I mean, it's a free world in this show, you know what I mean?
But because of that, I've never had another drink in 35 years. So that I consider that to be an accomplishment, but also like a constant work on who I am as a person to avoid that anger and the violence and, like the conflict. I really like a peaceful life at this point, which is why I'm married to Alexandra Silk, who is like this angel in my life, right? So I go out and I deal with the world, and then I come home and I deal with softness and gentleness and kindness and caring. So
I understand that.
yeah, no kissing on podcasts.
How long have you guys been together? I mean, she said 20 years, 2000. So.
We got married Y2K. Okay, so December 31st, 1999. You know the song, you party like it's 1999. Well, that's it. We promised ourselves we were never getting married, right? Because we had both been married twice before.
You were twice too?
Me twice as well, yeah.
Wow.
So we were together for a while, and then one year, it was coming up on Y2K, and the government told us we stood to save a bunch of money that year if we filed jointly. So that was part of it too. I mean, and it just happened. We've been together ever since and happy. Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you're a Teamster, right?
Was
a Teamster, and wasn't Roberto Di Bernardo holding part of the Teamsters or one of those unions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's why Sammy whacked him out.
Right.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. But supposedly, right? Anyways, so you were doing this job, making good money, pretty good money, and then what changed? What changed? Why did you change? And
well, you're an artist, right? You talk about art, you talk about creativity. I had a good job, but there was no creativity whatsoever. And remember, at the same time that I was working as a Teamster, I'm also going to school at night. I'm studying in college, and I'm a really good student. So it was just a natural progression for me to eventually leave. Frankly, when I was there for that long, I woke up one morning and I said, I can't believe I've been at this same job for 18 years. I got it.
Doing the same thing?
Pretty much the same thing, yeah.
I understand. That make you crazy.
Right. Nice stability and all that, but no opportunity to be in control of your life, right? So I was always a photographer, and I was always like into music, and then video came out, and we came out with the VX1000, the Sony VX1000, and it made it possible for you to like get a camera that was small enough to travel around the country with and shoot. So I started a series.
This is 95? So at the beginning of the small Sony camera.
I mean like the day it came out.
Okay. A decent.
Yeah, Bruce 7 bought one, and then you bought one, but I went up to San Francisco and I went right in there and I picked mine up and I started shooting a series called The Dirty Dancers.
In 1993, you're saying?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shane, from Shane's World,
yeah.
and Seymour Butt had just done their Canadian tour thing when we came out with Dirty Dancers 1.
Well, ironically, and
That when
Shane, I won Best Sex Scene. Shane and Seymour on the loose in Canada.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Best Sex Scene, me and an Asian girl in motherfucker, Ottawa. Ottawa, Canada. Yeah. That's ironic.
Yeah. So this was a cool little series, a cool little, concept. We would shoot the strippers actually on stage in whatever dance club they were working in. And then we would go home and the girl would have sex with her significant other, if it was a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or sometimes Ari and sometimes me. Ed Powers distributed it through Foreplay.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So we went out the door at real significant numbers.
Yeah, because he had a good distribution going on. 5,000, 6,000 pieces?
No, 85.
Really?
First, that was Dirty Dancers #1. 85 out the door.
Wow.
Yeah.
At what price?
12, 14.
And that's your first release?
First release ever. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you must have been shitting your pants.
Of course. Right. So that's why I moved out to California, I got this series and this concept with my ex-wife. Do you remember Ariana?
Yeah.
You remember her. You worked with her one time, I think. Yeah. A dark-haired, tattooed girl. Italian.
I'm sure, I remember the name for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's a trip, man.
Mm-hmm.
8,500 pieces out the door.
85 out the door.
Fucking
bro.
jack off to those numbers.
Right. And here was the thing. It was a series. So we just kept coming out with them, And you know how you sell a series. Every time people reorder the first one, I mean, when they place their new orders, they reorder the other previous series. So
right.
It was really a very, very nice scenario.
Wow, so that really, you owe Ed Power something a little bit, huh? Because that's a great, entry.
Absolutely.
At the right time, the
Absolutely.
right place.
Yep.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's at the beginning. Yeah, he was kicking some ass back then. And so, what was he taking? 25% or for the distribution?
No. Fuck, it was less than that. It really was. It was less than that. I got a guaranteed like $9 per tape.
Wow, that's good.
So, and when you remember back then, like Eddie DeRue, he was charging ridiculous amounts for duplication. VHS duplication, like just ridiculous amounts.
I thought I had heard Russ was charging $3, $3.25.
Yeah, well, I was in that whole the $3, $3.25 range.
So
Eddie,
you got $9 and then minus $3?
No, that's what I got.
$9 period.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's fucking from almost $10 an hour or whatever, but it's not $10 an hour, but whatever. To $75,000,
right?
Minus $15,000 for your.
There was a lot of money rolling around, but remember, I had kids too. So, no matter how much money you have, when you have children, it's not enough.
Really?
Well, you put the weight on your own shoulders, and then advertising the way that it is, it really gets these kids hooked on things, right? So, like in my age, it was the Cabbage Patch Kids and the Power Rangers, right? But I got to tell you that it's a huge commitment having children. That's all. Just no matter how much money we made, we needed more.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that is great. So how many movies would you release a year?
Usually one every other month.
Oh, so
I was never like a volume guy. So and that was the most I ever did, even with Adam and Eve, where we were doing one every other month. I like it that way. Yeah. I prefer to put quality into my product, even in terms of selecting talent, and we always had a really good eye for that. So we wouldn't shoot just anyone. We wanted to shoot the top quality.
I don't think I ever worked for you, right?
I can't say that you did, and I don't know why. We were just so distant, in our production days. Yeah. Like you were never around that Bruce 7, John Stagliano group, right?
Well, I worked for Stagliano a few times, worked for Bruce 7 a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I worked for Bianca, numerous times. So.
Yep. And there was also, with the Dirty Dancer series, we were shooting the girls with amateur guys.
Yeah, makes sense, right? So
one of the things that made us good directors, though, was working with all those newcomers and being able to really kind of get them to a place in their head where they could perform. As you know, that's 90% of the gig, right? Getting your head in the right place.
I would say, yeah, I mean, a big part of it, I don't know, 90% because, youth genetics also play a major role, believe it or not, it's a lot of it's genetics. Who are you? You know what I mean?
Right.
What makes your blood? I'm a maniac, so it was okay. It's easy for me, you know what I mean, as an actor. But I've been on the set, so it's hard to say for sure. You know what I mean? But I might, let's say 75%.
A large part.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and the other thing that I encountered all the time, even in the swinger community, you find these guys who are super self-confident, right? Oh man, I've been doing my babe. I could do her every time on the floor, on the kitchen, anywhere. And then you turn a light on and you yell action and something changes. Like this huge, ego suddenly crumbles down into melted butter on the floor. And he's like, I can't do it. The light's too bright. Or you guys are chewing in the background. Whatever their friggin' excuse, they can't do it, right?
Well, usually the loudest person is the weakest person, right?
I hear you there.
Usually.
He who knows doesn't say, he who says doesn't know, right?
Yeah, something like, it works. Usually works better. I try to shut my mouth, right? But yeah, it's very difficult to perform. Did you ever perform?
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought I heard that.
I was a performer, mostly in fetish.
Fetish, okay.
Right? But then when we were doing the Dirty Dancer series, I did a few scenes here and there. Alex and I have done some great scenes together, but it was never my major thrust. I always preferred to be behind the camera than in front.
The mentality to be a real professional performer, in my opinion, and that should be a good opinion, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Is that you really need to be doing it, like any kind of athletics. You can't fucking
practice.
Fucking at home.
Practice, yeah.
Fucking at home is not being a performer.
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
Because you got to open up, turn sideways, be with somebody you're not comfortable with, and be with somebody up your ass. All the factors. And even actors who are jealous come on a set and will stare you down and try to, mess you up and, intimidate you and throw their jealousy towards you.
Yeah.
Right? Or envy. And so, yeah, to be a good performer and to be in the world of it, today people can take Viagra, whatever, you know what I mean?
Let's put it this way. I never performed with Viagra.
Right.
And I always did my scenes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But being a performer, you really have to be in that mindset, in my opinion, to turn out,
quality work.
Quality work, because your mind has to be in another world.
Well, it becomes a total commitment. So your diet, your workout schedule, your sleeping, what you do with your free time all have to be directed towards that, right?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that this is a part of the mind. Your body gets used to it, but your mind goes into another world. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
I got to tell you, I'm 61 now. Mm-hmm. So when I was a kid, when I was 19, 20 years old, anything, the wind blew, your dick would get hard. I'd get off the tractor with a hard on, right? Like I'm in a yard full of guys, and because I'm on a vibrating tractor, my dick gets hard.
Yeah.
Now, my dick gets just as hard as it ever did when I was a kid. I just need more of a reason for that to happen. And when that reason does come along, then the orgasm is better than it was when I was a kid with all that high energy and that angst and I gotta fuck, So I really enjoy sex in my older years. It's different. It's changed a fuckload, but it's good. Yeah.
I like sex the same. I just like sex. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm not 61 yet.
Right.
I'm 51, so maybe I'll change. I don't know. I can see I'm slowing down a little bit. But
between 51 and 61, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
A big difference.
But my blood is very Volatile blood. It's strong.
You got Mamba blood, bro.
Probably even deeper than that. You know? I think my grandpa was chasing girls that he was 80. He was still, trying to get some.
Right.
He was running up the mountains at 90 still. But anyways, who knows? We'll see. I mean, he didn't fuck 12,000 girls. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but anyway, so that is a great segue into into distribution, into the business world. That's like a fucking serious blessing in disguise. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe the spirits or the gods gave you like a little pushing hand. You know what I mean? Because 8,500 pieces. Or it could work as a deficit maybe because you know what I mean. You've been given something gorgeous, right? And when you get something so beautiful, you sometimes get used to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it can work both sides, but at this point in time, it seems like a fucking dream. Let the people know, because I started this, my first movies that I dropped off to Devil's Films, I was getting 1,800 pieces out the door.
That's when it was all starting to fall apart.
No, that's 96.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, mine was a little bit earlier, a couple of years earlier, when when DVD started coming out, everything got liquidated,
that's
right?
99, 2000.
Really?
2001, yeah. Right, but no, 96, but just that it wasn't really strong distribution. It was good, but Ed Powers had a niche, and the people respected it, and so he had a lot of people to grab. But yeah, so I had 1,800 pieces out the door. 19, I had to work off of small. I had to grind like a dog.
That's too bad, because your fucking product rocked. I know that. Anything that you put out with your name on it was well respected. It should have sold better. Just should have sold better. I'll tell you, here's my all-time greatest success story, though. So there I am. I'm doing this VHS distribution. I'm working for 12 other companies, and we're busting our butt. And my partner at that point and I split up. She was the sales side of the company, and I was the physical, distribution side of the company.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to. You are distributing for 12 companies yourself?
Exactly.
Okay, so you're delivering product to this.
We have a warehouse. UPS is pulling in every night.
12 people.
We're shipping. I've got 3 people working in the warehouse. I've got 2 salespeople. I've got a bookkeeper and an accountant and an editor full time.
Wow, okay, that's serious.
Yeah.
And then, so how many releases at this point in time?
At that point,
per month are you doing?
8. That was when everything was rolling.
What year is that? 2000 or?
Earlier than that. Yeah. The VHS days still.
Okay.
Yeah. But the company fell apart because my partner and I went different ways. So she was the sales arm and I was the production arm. And Adam and Eve came to me and they said, we really want you to come down and begin to work with us. So we did. And I began to produce for Adam and Eve, but they began to distribute my DVDs for me. So at the
VHS?
DVDs.
So this has to be 2001.
Right. There's more like 2001. Right. So I've got the warehouse full of VHS tapes. I've got DVDs on the way coming in. And Adam and Eve makes a deal with me to take over the distribution for my DVDs, right? Funny thing was part of that deal involved Russ from VCA and his deal on duplication. Whole nother story. But Adam and Eve, we came out with this series called Internal Affairs, the one that we got the award for. And they put the title on the cover of their catalog. And we sold 65,000 pieces of Internal Affairs number 5.
So
65,000 pieces.
Well, that's like a crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a crazy number to anybody out there in the
You can't do
public.
that.
It's not for Adam and Eve, though.
65,000 pieces you sold off one movie, Internal Affairs. Why?
Because it was on the cover of their catalog. And that was when they were the catalog-based company. They mailed out, I can't tell you how many millions of those catalogs across the country. So to be on the cover of that catalog was prime real estate. And it was an award-winning series. It had the little stamp on it and unique. It was a niche product at that point.
but you had to give them a price, right?
Of course.
Well,
Of course.
price like $4,
Ridiculous. Yeah.
$3.
Sick. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at that point. Everything's just profit.
Profit is a beautiful. It's a dream
Yep.
compared to working on the racetrack. It's a fucking dream,
Right.
right? So it's really you have a little. I didn't know this was your story. You know what I mean? So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful success story because, I was working in a truck shop
Right.
as a fucking dog. You know. What I
So
mean?
you understand.
Yeah. So then you come in. I got to fuck all the girls. That's a dream.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then I built a great company. But yeah, so that's great. You had a lot of success. I didn't know that you had that much success. So, but let's talk about this. So you started Fallen Angel exactly what year? It was 93 you're shooting, but that's after. So what happened with you and Ed Powers and Foreplay?
Okay.
Oh, but hold on. I'm so sorry. Is Foreplay Ed DeRue or is it Ed Powers?
Ed Powers.
He runs Foreplay.
Owned Foreplay, distributed the Dirty Debutantes,
Right.
distributed Randy's Up and Comers,
Uh-huh.
was about to sign a deal with Shane for Shane's World, was about to sign a deal with Asia Carrera and Bud Lee for a line that they were going to do. And if you remember, he was working with one other guy.
Jake?
Not Jake. This guy was a producer, a director, and what was it, Pickup Lines? Pickup Lines.
It wasn't Jamie Gillis, right?
It was not Jamie Gillis. Jamie was that's a whole nother story.
Right.
I don't know that we want to get into if we're trying to give respect to Ed Powers.
Right.
Right?
I got more love and respect for Jamie.
For Jamie. I conducted Jamie Gillis's last interview. Cass Paley and I went out and interviewed him when he was still in New York at Zarella's house. Yeah. Yeah. Jamie, dear friend.
He's a cool guy. Yeah, I worked with him in a scene, 2 scenes, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which is kind of fun because he's a legendary guy. But
Yeah.
he's a really, really interesting, nice guy. And believe it or not, you probably believe it, but a lot of people I interviewed think that he was maybe the number one guy in those days. He was the number one guy, besides John Holmes. You know what I mean?
John, he was the kinkiest guy. Okay.
He's a crazy motherfucker.
He was the kinkiest guy of all. Jamie could, pick up a lollipop and look at a girl and figure out what he was going to do with that whole scene. Right? He was a magician. He really was. I don't know that he was the best physical performer ever, but certainly the most twisted. Yeah. So I had this series. We were distributing through Foreplay. There was a series called Pickup Lines. I can't remember that guy's name. Anyway.
I would know him, of course.
You would know him, absolutely, if I said his name. But he left a scene it was an angle of Ed Powers' dick that was supposed to be hard, and his dick was soft, flapping on the girl's pussy, and you could see that. So Ed Powers lost it, and he canceled this guy's series and pulled every VHS tape that was on the shelf, recalled them all back in because there was a shot of Ed Powers' dick soft in the video. That's the truth. So this whole thing created a huge ripple. And Ed Powers canceled my line.
But you had nothing to do with this guy, right?
Nothing to do with them at all. Nothing to do with them at all. He canceled the Shane's World contract that was in final phases. He canceled his deal with Asia Carrera and Bud Lee, and he kept only Randy West on. So from there, I went and I ran Sin City. I went and I worked for David Sturman for about 2 years.
This was 93 or 4?
Right in that time frame, yeah.
I'm working for Sin City a lot, so you must have seen my name fly by there.
This was just after they did that movie with Sunset, and she was suing them for breach of contract. Do you remember that whole thing?
I never thought much. Between me and you, what the, why, and what the hell did anybody really see in that person? I'm not going to say the name. You know what I mean?
Right.
What the fuck? When there's so many fucking girls way fucking better for me, that's for me. But what's your opinion on that? Does it make sense or?
It was Michael Nin's influence. Don't you agree?
Has to be.
Yeah.
I saw him at the show, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? So she was, what was,
That whole campaign that they launched with sex, there was a huge pre-release campaign on that. Everybody had hats and T-shirts. You remember that? Billboards.
Kind of. I mean, I know there's a big movie. John Doe was part of it or something, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. But I never understood. But it was only probably because of Michael Nin. Before that, that person, you know what I mean, was a B girl.
Well, let's just say her husband didn't help much either. Right?
Oh, right.
At that point, you remember.
Country bumpkin, yeah. Anyways,
we only want to speak positive.
Yeah, you're
people,
right.
Yeah.
And I had no problem with him, except for that they said that Biff Malibu was going to beat me in a boxing match, which he outweighed me by 30 pounds, but still couldn't do shit. But anyway.
Wasn't going to happen.
But, they said, oh, yeah, all right. But, in any case, so, yeah, that's pretty wild. So he just goes off on you.
Ed Powers and his flaccid dick.
It wasn't that he went off on me. He just went off.
On everybody.
But it worked out to my favor because David hired me to run Sin City. And then their heads, I changed Sin City dramatically when I was there. I mean, before that, when you walked in, there were fucking wrecked carpets and the place was a mess. I walked in and physically redid the whole place. We recarpeted everything.
Is that building you're eating or something?
On Independence. No, this is older.
Older, okay.
Yeah. Down when they were close to like Victory and Independence.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I left Sin City and I took his head salesperson with me. Yeah. To Fallen Angel. David and I are still friends.
All right.
Believe it or not, we are still friends. I'm one of the few people that he still appreciates, right? But I stole his head salesperson.
He owes me $10,000 still, by the way.
It probably owes me that too.
Yeah? So you took who was the salesperson?
Gigi Appleton.
Yeah, I might have heard that name, but I don't know her. I don't think. Maybe. Yeah. So you took her. He said it was okay, or you stole her?
She just left. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. She wanted to do this, and I went off and we opened our offices on Eaton Avenue right up there where AVN moved in after we moved up there.
Oh, over there, yeah, right.
Yeah, right up in that cul-de-sac at the end of Eaton Avenue. Yeah.
Porno Central. I mean,
it was.
Canoga's is right there where the big studio is.
Yep.
Right,
yep.
And every VCA's on DeSoto, everybody's there except for Stagliano's over there. But so that is interesting. So you take that person and you do what? You relaunch your.
Well, titles? I had the Dirty Dancers, right, and I had a garage full of box covers. I didn't have any product, but I had a garage full of box covers.
Waiting to get out.
So on a $10,000 loan, we opened this fucking company. And I got some credit on my duplication. We put most of the money down on, the building that we were renting and supplies that we needed. We got our first run out. You know who Yosef? You remember Yosef? He bought a ton of my shit in the beginning to help us launch the company.
Yosef for
and Rita.
Yeah, Rita. Yeah, of course. So they're very friendly people.
Look, all you got to do is be honest with me. Pay me whatever, you say you owe me, and we're going to be friends. Yosef was a good guy. I never had a problem.
I like him. I like them both. I can't help it. If you're nice to me and respectful, I like him.
Rita loved me. I was darling to her. Everybody.
Darling! Well, she was strong. Yeah, interesting. So they bought a lot of product to get you going, to help you out?
They did, yeah. They did.
Good price? I know they always want a price.
They got their price, but it was okay.
$10?
Yeah, everything. Remember, at this point, everything's profit, right? So I'm not putting any money into it anymore.
Right. So you sold some pieces to get it going?
We sold $1 million worth of product the first year we opened our doors. That's why people came to us.
So just reorders, you're saying?
No, we came out with some new product as well. Yeah. She was directing. She did a Silk series for me. Really beautiful, high-end kind of female director look. Good stuff. And the Internal Affairs series came up. You know what else made us a ton of money? My dad's dirty movies. So one of the things is, today I do a lot of video engineering kind of work, right? Like up converting and things like that. But I was the first person to tap into the old 8mm loop market, right? So in my garage today, I have a pallet full of old antique 8mm loops, right? But I took a bunch of them and I made them into a series. I called it My Dad's Dirty Movies. I said, take a stroll with me and my dad down memory lane. And I made this story, which was actually true. My mother found a box of porno films in my dad's closet, right after he had passed.
Film,
right?
you said, yeah.
Films. Yeah. And she's like, can you believe I found these? And I was like, absolutely, Mom, send them to me. Are you kidding me? I'm throwing them away. No, send them to me, Mom. I really did. I captured these videos. I put an old musical track down that kind of had it wasn't even properly timed. It went like, wah, 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 like music you'd hear in an old strip club or something. And then I put a little projector noise underneath it. So it sounded like click, 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 click as you're watching it. So you really had the feeling that you're in one of these old stag film theaters. And I had to make the demand for this series was so great. We had to just keep putting them out. And they didn't cost me anything to create.
But they're not your movies.
Doesn't matter. They were shot before it was legal to shoot porn, so they can't be copywritten. No one can go back and copyright them and claim ownership on them. They are my movies.
Wow. You're pretty serious about that, too.
No, I'm serious. We went through all the legal channels with Adam and Eve and everything. Yeah, it's sold in.
What year were they made, you think?
60s, 70s. Yeah.
Wow, that's a trip.
And that antique erotica, they were doing some naughty stuff back then.
Yeah, I had to pull some stuff out of it. It was too hard for current viewing. Coke bottles and things like that. Yeah.
Did you see any old stars in there? I know that some of the old stars did work.
Yeah, some of them.
John, Jamie.
Yep.
Joey.
John for sure.
John Holmes.
John Holmes. John Leslie, man, he did some loops, but he was more of an actor. Oh. Yeah. Right? He was doing the feature film still.
All the guys. Let's face it.
Everybody did loops back then to make your money.
No, for fun, too.
And
I'm in there.
Get laid.
10 minutes or something, busting that, I guess.
Yep.
That's the story.
Oh, my God, 10 minutes.
I mean, it was before my time, but I would have jumped right on down the street,
Yeah.
For sure.
We had video exclusives in '89.
Yep.
And that was how I was doing my loops, but they weren't loops, but it's similar.
They're just scenes.
They're just scenes, and you just load them up for a day. It was great.
Yep.
It was beautiful. But I'm interested, so this is interesting. Let's just get down, let's stay on track. So you take your movies, right, and you worked for for David Stern, how long?
About 2 years.
2 years. And so this is from 94 to 96, 97? You said what year did you start?
I wish that I could tell you exactly what year it was that we first incorporated as Fallen Angel. Because
96.
96.
Yeah.
So this is more like 94.
So, but 96 is when you started your own company.
96 I incorporated. 95 I opened the doors. 94 I was working with David.
Right. But 96 you had Fallen Angel.
Yeah.
I mean, you say it's Fallen Angel.
Right.
Right. So you open the doors on $10,000, loan, right? Mm-hmm. And so you start taking your movies, you start duplicating them and put them out there. And Gigi makes the phone call, you start getting orders, right? And so you start getting the money from there, and then you start making movies from that, or you got another loan? Yeah.
Nope, that's how we did it. Yeah.
So then you
bootstrapped our company. That's what it's called.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that's $1 million you gross in 1 year.
Exactly.
Right. And a lot of it's net because you had some of the product already.
All paid for already. Yeah. Right.
So that's interesting. So then, how many movies did you release in that year?
That first year?
Yeah. You said you're slow, like...
Yeah. I don't know. We had
Maybe 25.
maybe about 25, something like that. We had some strong lines back there too, though. You know who Chris Streams is?
Yeah.
We distributed his line, Rode Hard, Put Away Wet. And then you remember Sugar Daddy Dave Cummings, the old guy?
Mm-hmm. He just died, right?
I know he did, yeah. We distributed for him.
He told me, by the way, not to disrespect his death, but he told me he was a great performer. He told that to me one day, right? I was sitting there going, I saw you in a scene with me twice, and your dick was this big, so fucking soft. So I cannot respect a performer thinks they're a good performer when they have no clue of real performing. But anyways.
How about we apply that to directors as well, if I may?
For sure. For sure. But, so you distribute Dave Cummins and
a bunch of other companies.
James.
Brian James, even. Do you remember that guy? Brian James.
Skinny.
Michael Raven.
Oh, yeah, Michael. Yeah, from Texas.
I distributed for him as well when he first came out here.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have your, I'm just trying to get to, business. This is for people too. This is the porn puzzle. This is what I bring in. It's not all about the stars. It's about everything beautiful.
Well, the business, the mechanism, the workflow.
Yeah, the puzzle. And for me, business is beautiful.
Right.
For me, I love business.
Mm-hmm.
I love action. I like it all. So you start this and you put your movies out. You make a couple movies, but you get people to come in right away and distribute their product. Is that what you're telling me?
Pretty much, yeah.
So how long before you open the doors did you have somebody in there bringing you a title to, package it or release
Probably
it or whatever?
2 or 3 months.
All right, so
Yeah.
you're ahead of plan.
Right away, people already knew our reputation, what we were doing. They were flocking to us. At that point, all those other companies like the Vince Foyer and Devil's Films and all those, they weren't open yet. Biff Malibu.
Vince Voyer never had a company.
Yeah, he did.
Never.
I thought that he owned Red Light District at first.
No. No, Dion made Red Light District. He helped Dion.
Okay.
That was all Dion's money. That was all Dion. But anyway, so yeah, he never had a company.
Anyway, before any of those other companies opened up, it was only John and Patrick who had a deal similar to ours for production companies.
And Mike.
And Mike Esposito?
Mike Rubenstein.
Okay.
From Devils.
No, I don't think Devils was open yet.
Well, 96 Devils.
When we
was open.
first opened Fallen Angel, it was before that, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you think he kept a
I
pretty low profile?
incorporated in 96. And we did keep a low profile, as best we
No, I
could.
think Mike did too, but anyways. But because Devil's film was in the end of 95 or the beginning of 96.
Right.
Mike Rubenstein he was very quiet.
But I based the business model exactly to the T on what John and Patrick were offering their producers. John Stagliano and Patrick Collins.
But Patrick, I don't think, so you mean they were together, in that point in time?
No, at this point, John had just broken off from Patrick, and Elegant was now separate from Evil.
Elegant offered deals?
Yeah. No. In the beginning?
Really? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Regardless, Patrick was the one who coached me through the whole thing. I mean,
Patrick.
Patrick used to talk to me on the phone. We went to meetings together, so we were close. John and Patrick and I used to all go to a men's meeting together. But him and Bruce Seven talked me through so many different deals. I never did anything without talking with them.
Wow, that is great to have that help. Unbelievable.
Ariana was one of Bruce Seven's first.
Her face comes to mind. Yeah, I know who she is for sure.
Raven-haired, Italian-looking girl,
Yeah. So that's great, man. That's beautiful. I didn't know that was the way it went. So you give these guys a 25% cut? Is that it?
No, we were taking a 25% cut and we were paying out 75. Right.
Common, yeah.
Right.
The standard.
Until the internet came around and everything juxtaposed, and now you've got distributors that want 75% and they want to pay out 25.
Yeah.
So I never made any of those deals.
But what type of numbers, when you were doing this, were you getting? Because you just started, but you had something before, so it's interesting.
We weren't doing anywhere near the numbers that we were doing at Foreplay when I first came out with the Dirty Dancers. Now we're down around the 3,200 range. But she had the list. I mean, the golden list that everybody needed and wanted.
And the friendship.
Yeah. And she worked at, she came from Essex.
Old school.
Old school. Yeah, right. So people knew her, they knew me.
Wow.
It went well for a while we were together. But, you know, like with any business, look to the personalities first. Like, you know, will this partnership continue? Is it possible? Is it feasible? And Gigi and I were both very, very different people. So if I looked at it with that perspective earlier on, I would have never gone into business with her.
Did you were a partner with her, you're saying?
Right.
So it was a 50-50?
Well, the sort of.
Sort of. So
I owned all the product. So that continued, and we split the profits from the sales, but not the product. So she didn't own the product that I came into the company with.
right, you already made it.
And was continuing to make it, but with my equipment, my skills, my expertise, and my abilities. So I wasn't going to split that with her. That's really how the company divided. When the internet began to flourish and come up, she realized that she didn't own 50% of all potential profits off of the media, only 50% of whatever it was she sold. And that was the deal from the beginning. It was all in writing, but it got complicated as technologies changed it. You know, they call them disruptive technologies, right? Because they disrupt the flow. Suddenly there's a new opportunity here, and they didn't anticipate it. Same thing with Adam and Eve. I was producing for them so early on that I have internet rights over media that I have shot for them that other people don't have, because Adam and Eve realized that might not behoove us to share this media with our production companies, but I came in a privileged position, so to speak. I helped them a lot in the early years. Like I told you about the engineering work that I do, but I'm the person who upconverted their entire library and, you know, made it possible for them to have their websites that are running off of that media. Wow. So it's a nice place to be. We do favors for one another.
Oh, that's a great relationship because they're so powerful. I mean, that's beautiful.
Well, in my mind, they are the only option. You know, the integrity that the company operates under is really my biggest attraction. I know they're a big company, but I like the security of dealing with a company that's doing things right. Legal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In that aspect, for sure. Phil Harvey, I've heard, you know, wonderful things. I've never met him. Have you spoke with him, sat with him?
Oh, I've sat in a room with Phil Harvey when I was performing naked on a screen in front of him in a whole screening room. How's that for being friendly?
He's like, whose weenie and muffin is that?
Yeah, he was right fucking next to me as we're watching this. Yeah, I've had many conversations with Phil Harvey.
He's a cool cat.
He's another guy like Larry Flint, who has a brilliant mind and stands up for what they believe to be right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power of, I mean, let's say the power, but the luxury of having earned enough money to protect yourself is something beautiful in itself, right?
True that.
You know what I mean? Because you need the money and you have to earn it to be able to protect yourself. Sometimes you don't get that opportunity. But, you know, from what I hear about Phil Harvey, I would think that he stands above Larry Flint from from what I think. You know what I mean?
And well, he's the first person to have moved forward and created anything that was close to a series of standards and guidelines for adult production, and what was acceptable for them and what was unacceptable. And they have gone through great efforts to maintain that level of integrity. I'm not sure if you're aware, but every video that is released by Adam and Eve goes through a very vigorous review process. First by internal reviewers, next by external therapists who review the media for socially redeeming qualities and things along that nature. And then finally the QC process, which is the final people who get to see the video before it goes to broadcast. They give it a final review for content and quality as well.
Yeah. To be able to implement those plans, right, and make them work, and make it so you're also protected against, who, right, is great thinking. You know what I mean? It's great thinking. Maybe he had no choice because he knew this is the only way to protect himself, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's wonderful. It's brilliant, and I really respect him doing so well with these kind of handcuffs. Because he was handcuffed and he had to fight the government.
Well, have you read the book, The Government versus Erotica? It's a book about the whole situation. But Phil Harvey was the guy who put the first print ad out there, free condoms by mail. So when we were kids, at least when I was a kid, and you wanted to get condoms, you went to your local drugstore and you talked to the pharmacist that you knew for years and you asked him for condoms. That's how it was for me. But Phil decided he was going to start selling condoms by mail. And it was a real simple condoms by mail. That's all it was, black background, white print. But that started building his company. And at one point, Phil Harvey was prosecuted by the federal government in 3 different jurisdictions for the same charge. So today we would call that triple jeopardy. But he was able to defend himself in such a high level and professional manner that he won all 3 of the cases. And that's where the series of standards, conditions, and the review process and everything else came into play to protect him and all the other companies. I mean, when you go down to North Carolina, these are down-home, wholesome people, that are working in a sex factory. I mean, Adam and Eve's 3 stories tall. It looks like you're walking into a hospital when you go there.
Yeah, I've been there,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, right. I mean, he did it, and look at the scale he did it. But do you know what year he made that first sale? I mean, when he put those condoms?
70s.
70s, because I thought, I had Marcy Hurst here. She was friendly with, Phil Harvey and Adam and Eve, But I think that was early. I think
earlier than that?
I think
in the
she
60s?
said possibly 1959.
That's possible.
I mean, that is wild.
That seems a little. I'm going to get an answer for you, though. I will.
Yeah, no, I should know. Yeah, I should. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's good for me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he's an incredible human being.
Yes,
and
he is.
And I hear that his nonprofit humanitarian
DKT International, and they distribute condoms, free condoms, to 3rd world countries all over the globe. Free. And
they have more employees doing this than they do have in their facility. That's what I hear.
Well, there's so many branches to what Phil Harvey has done with his time and his energy and his intelligence. It just keeps going.
So, yeah. I mean, Larry Flynn has done wonderful things for himself, right? He's got the casinos. He's he's highly intelligent.
Larry hasn't done a whole lot of philanthropical work in his time.
No,
he hasn't contributed back to it's all wrapped up in his gold gilded furniture and, that's where it is. Even with his family, Larry turned his back on his family.
Yeah. I mean, you never know who your family is. but Phil Harvey stands above so many people. You know who else who I found to be so
human,
genuinely sincere, and such a nice person. Always was. Steve Hirsch.
Oh, Steve, yeah.
Unbelievable nice person.
Well, you remember Freddie Lincoln, right? You worked for Freddie at times. When Freddie died penniless. Mm-hmm. And there were only a few people that came forward to help him. At that time, I was able to, put some money out. But Steve Hirsch and Christian Mann both contributed a ton of money.
Really?
To Freddie's funeral. Yeah, I thought that was very kind and generous of him. Yeah.
Such a nice guy. So this is great, that you were really, I got an opportunity. I had to grind hard, really, you know what I mean? And then I got beat up by, somebody else that's way more powerful than me.
Right.
Beat on my ass for years and years and years. So I never got like a nice free little roll around the block, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway, so you got this sounds beautiful, right? It sounds like
Well, maybe I'm painting a beautiful picture, but anytime you start a company, right, it's fucking war. It's a battle every day. So there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of lost sleep. There was a break-in. Back then, people were coming into offices and smashing the front window and taking computers. And then selling the computers for like the hardware, the value of the hardware. So that happened to us one night. I was sleeping at her house. We got a phone call in the middle of the night from the alarm company. Go down there. There's my computer gone.
cocksuckers.
Fuckers.
I mean, but normal cocksuckers and bugs and fleas. They're everywhere. It's not the biggest thing, but the internal affairs, like
right.
your movie, right? Internal affairs are the ones that really rip your fucking heart out and can really fuck you.
Right.
Because only your family can fuck you the best.
Phil, at one point I owed $500,000, right? Had money out on the street, but here we are. We split the company up. Okay, I got to pay out all this money to all these other 12 distribution companies that I was working with.
12 companies, production
companies, sorry. So
producers, pretty much.
They all started rattling, their sabers at me and telling me, we want our money. And I didn't blame them. I wanted their money too. But they wanted me to do things like, this is all done properly, incorporated properly, and now they're asking me to sign over my house onto a loan to them. And I'm like, everybody get together. We all met at one room, and I said, here's the deal. I've worked out exactly how much money everybody's owed, and here's a schedule for your payments, okay? And that's what you're going to get paid if you leave me alone. But if I get one of the 12 companies out there to file suit against me, to harass me, I'll bankrupt the company and none of you will get paid. And I meant it.
You get shit.
Because I had nothing to lose, right? Every one of those people got paid according to the schedule, and the $500,000 was paid off. Right? And when I was done, my ex-partner comes to me, and the motherfucker, she says, I never thought you were going to pay that money back. I mean, fuck you.
So she was not righteous.
She was not righteous at all. In fact, she really, I'm not going to go there. Yeah. She did have a job with Adam and Eve at one point after she and I split up, though. That was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah? You had more power, or she was conflicted?
I'm still there.
I got you. Yeah, especially if you're friends with somebody who owns the fucking company, right? But so what happened? You're distributing. I mean, I know getting paid and the games that some of these distributors play. Like, let's take in, for example, a few people who fucking left me with $50,000 bills, $60,000. Eastern, Jack from Eastern, that fucking cockroach, fucking owed me fucking left me a $60,000 bill. right? Did you ever get that?
A lot of it, yeah. That was part of the money that was owed out there. You know, like companies came and went and disappeared and renamed themselves. How many times did General Video rename themselves?
But they pretty much paid except for David.
And David was my friend.
But he pays Kevin.
That was difficult to deal with. Yeah.
Well, I talked to him numerous times, and he's a hell of a nice guy when you talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
But when they owe you money and they just leave you and ignore you, that's hard to take. You know?
A large amount of money. Large amounts of money.
Right.
It's not like you owe me $50.
Yeah.
You know?
And so the people don't know the video outlet in Maryland. Maryland got me for a lot. Maryland, the state, the city, whatever, that little, what is that? Baltimore, 3 people there. Eastern, RSK, and Video Outlet.
The block.
Yeah.
Right.
They all, the block was
That's that area in Baltimore where all the adult stores are.
kind of, yeah, but the Video Outlet was out of a different area. But, RSK was wherever, Russ, right? And these guys, for some reason, those guys in that area got me for 100 and something. You know what I mean?
It's like,
right? And so the people don't know the fuck. Oh, you're doing good. Oh, right? It's hard to collect the money sometimes.
Right.
And not only that, but tell me if you notice this: the RAs, right? They would come. Sometimes you got to make a deal, or you make a deal so you can get rid of stuff that's old.
Oh, the old Contra mentality, yeah.
So you sling it, right? You sell it, but it comes around back to you from somebody else who didn't get the deal.
Right.
You ever watch that closely?
Absolutely, yeah. And then they want a return to at what you sold them the original product at, but they bought it for less.
Or you're not going to get paid.
Right.
So how would you think of that stuff?
I don't deal with many of those people anymore. I just don't. I mean, like it's not humane. You don't treat people that way. The first time I dealt with the internet and I actually got paid before I shipped a product, I realized who my customer was. Yeah. I didn't want to pick up the phone and beg anymore. That took away my soul. Like I'm putting real energy into this. Like I'm not just, pumping out the standard crap. I'm shooting a scene in a fucking hot air balloon over the Colorado Rocky Mountains. That's the kind of stuff we're doing. So don't treat us like, standard, not standard.
I would go to Brazil. I'd go all through the world. Shoot, I would be in Asia. I would be in Europe. I would be in South America.
Energy. Yeah. Effort. Money.
I'm in Colombia, and they're trying to, me and Nacho, they're killing people in front of us.
Right.
So it's nothing's a joke, right? But the people out there in Baltimore thought it was a joke. But anyway, so I read that you were computer savvy, right?
I am. Yeah.
You were, or you are.
I am still.
Extremely.
Yeah. So you jumped on that right away? Did that help you?
Well,
you always were.
I always was, yeah. From the time I was a kid, I had computers around. My dad was a doctor, so I helped him set up his office with computers when we're talking when the PC, like 138s were coming out.
80-something or something?
Yeah. I took a course in Fortran, which is like formula translation for scientific computations. And I did the first adult chat ever on CompuServe with my ex-wife. So CompuServe was a platform that was around a long, long time ago. So to do the first adult chat ever, I go back a little bit.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's a big advantage, I think.
Well, today, very much so. Because of my own library, I've always had this desire to be able to maintain the media for as long as I can, right? And how that's done, the whole process and the workflow behind it. So I've picked up some skills in video engineering and audio engineering that have helped me reconstitute a lot of this older media. And, you know, just over the past 2-3 years, really, technologies have taken leaps ahead in terms of our abilities to enhance media. So just as an example, in terms of processing speeds, when I did my first Dirty Dancers in like 92, it took us 24 hours to render out a 10-second title sequence. 3D animated, spin once or twice and get bigger title sequence. 24 hours on an old computer. Now I can lay a look, a color grade upon a 90-minute feature in about 3 hours. So that's recoloring every single frame of that video in 3 hours. Whereas before it took 24 hours just to create this little animated sequence.
So it would have took like 3 months to do it.
Forget about it. It was, do you remember in the beginning, like, if you had an audio problem, that was it. You were fucked. Like, none of us could afford to send that file out to a Hollywood engineer and have it remixed. It just never happened. So we stuck with what we got. Now, the capabilities are so vast that, you know, I've got 3 different audio tracks that I can choose from, and then I can make rain go away from a conversation. Like, you can be talking and there's rain in the background, and now there's no rain and your voice is still good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's not even, I mean, that's called kind of almost like mixing, but would you call that mixing? You call that just taking
Audio engineering.
Just taking that out.
Engineering, yeah.
Yeah, mix, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's something. That was almost impossible. Yeah, it was hard.
Totally impossible. Yeah.
Everybody's talking, do this, do that. You got to cut that shit out. Yeah.
I just shot an interview 2 days ago of a woman, you know, she wanted the whole, like, Los Angeles skyline behind her. And we're on a high rise and there's traffic down below us, you know, horns and you know, Mercedes, like Lamborghinis revving their engines. And we made it all go away. The dialogue's good.
It's cool.
It's technology, man. Technology is fucking cool.
Oh, it's insane. You know, you heard me talking earlier about AI, but on one hand, it's really incredible and insane what the future is going to bring, what we're going to see.
Well, true, incredible on one level and dangerous on another.
I mean,
you know, so here's my take on the thing. I heard your little comment before on AI, and I believe that the government likes to dumb its population down so that it can prepare for war. So they create great little soldiers by having these kids who are, you know, great gamers and great at doing all these little, like, bombing runs and things on their games, but they're forgetting about people that need to interact with one another. Like, there's a biological benefit to kissing, right? And the benefit is that because you and I are together, right, you're going to induce like germs into my body and I'm going to share some of mine with you. And we're both going to become stronger for that because now we've gotten little, you know, vaccinations, little inoculations. Mm-hmm. If we never have a partner that we're bouncing up against and we're not social with other people, those, just as one example, those immunities don't increase and we don't grow, we don't evolve as a species, you know? So 4K TV is so pervasive. Like I studied psychology. I have a degree in human sexuality, a doctorate's degree in human sexuality, but I also have a degree in psychology.
I don't want to, before I forget that, just real quick, how long did it take you to get that doctorate?
About 4 years.
Okay.
Yep. So I believe that 4K TV is one of the most captivating tools that has ever been invented by the machine. And when these little kids are watching the television, it's much more influential than it was when we were kids and we were watching a little black and white box, right? Now it's huge. Now it's 63 inches and it's HDR, colors, and it's fucking amazing. So if you study the psychology of influence and persuasion, you realize how influential appearance can be in convincing someone that one person is more correct than another, right? So this is like an innate thing that is built into our biological system to be able to reflect and kind of determine what we like and what we don't like, right? But so much of it is wrapped in appearance. So now think about commercialism. Think about advertising, all being delivered on a 4K, 63-inch screen. You know why they're building cars that we don't have to drive?
I know. Well, because it's going to dumb you down.
No, so they can advertise to you while you're fucking driving. Oh. Welcome to the machine, my friend. That's the truth. Yeah, so that's my belief. I don't believe it's AI. I believe it's very calculated, Really? It's the machine. Huh. Sorry about that divergence. But
it's all right. Yeah, okay. So, so basically you were kicking some ass, right, doing the distribution. So then you dissolved the company? Or what happened?
No, I still own Fallen Angel.
Yeah, it's still going strong.
Yeah.
It's still an online presence.
So you still make movies?
I still make movies.
For Fallen Angel?
For Fallen Angel and for Adam and Eve.
It's a joint type of deal?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
How many titles did Fallen Angel produce over the years?
About 180.
180?
Mm-hmm.
And so you directed them? And Alexandra, you directed? Because we've lost you in the mix here.
Yeah, did a few.
You directed?
A few.
Yeah, but you directed most of them?
Yeah.
I directed most of them, but she did our premium line. Okay. We really put a lot of energy into the Silk series.
Eternal Affairs too? Who directed that one?
That was me. Yeah.
That's 100,000 deep now or what?
But I got to tell you, one thing I'm always eternally grateful to Hustler for. Okay? Mm-hmm. So we came out with this Silk Ties product that Alexandra had directed. And I had a really nice cast. I had Shayla Laveau and Ari Vox, Dee, on and on and on. Just really beautiful girls. They all came to Hustler to do my premiere for the show. Mm-hmm. And Hustler had cans, lights in the sky, right? And we had traffic in front of Hustler, people slowing down. I had all these girls, all 6 of them, dressed in red bra, red bikini panties, a black blazer, a black fedora hat, and a red silk tie for Silk Ties. And
we stopped traffic.
It was an event, right? It was an event. It was something that you could be proud of for the rest of your life. And when we went inside on the video shelves, they had an entire shelf devoted to Fallen Angel, and all the Dirty Dancers, number 1 through 18, were there on the shelf. It was just every little boy from, the East Coast. That was the fulfillment of my dream.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, yeah. I mean, porno for me is a big dream. But
life for me has been a dream.
Yeah, it's been good, huh?
Yeah.
So it sounds, Track Tech was.
It was a magic moment in time, right?
Yeah. Like I say, numerous times I've said on the show, if you look, and I compare this to the Wild West. If you compare, or you think, reflect, or remember the Wild West and what you know about it, it was like right after the Civil War, it really came alive, right?
Right.
And it really had 25 years, really, of radical, memorable life to it. And if you look at porno, it had similar life to it as far as wild, romantic times. Maybe, I think it really started coming alive after I talked to everybody. It really started moving around 1980, you know what I mean? The engine started rolling, you know what I mean? And the engine stopped rolling around you know, as far as the radicalness and wildness, you know what I mean? Probably around 9 or 10 of the crashes, you know what I mean? It started like just becoming weird with all the people still in content. It became something different with the government being involved, OSHA and all this bullshit. All of it changed.
Yeah.
The mentality of people have changed.
You were talking about the consent issues today, you know, and trying to be politically correct and trying to, you know, be appropriate with girls under the current situation. It's tough being a director now, you know, and trying to like adhere to all the consent issues. And I'm not going to be alone in a room with that girl no matter what, right? Yeah. All that kind of stuff. It's changed from the day where you could go up to a girl, you know, like grab her from behind the neck and look into her eyes and say, I'm going to kiss you, and do it, right? Yeah. Now you go to jail.
And now this is the standard?
Yeah.
What kind of standard is that? It's not the standard that it once was. And this new standard for me is sickening. You know what I mean? Compared to the standard that I know and that you know and that pretty much 99% of the people, you know, in our time knows or knew, and that's it. So it's not very friendly. It's not very good, I think, for making a movie. But that's not my problem. I'm not really producing these days. And, you know, so I only care. I don't care. You know what I mean? So, hey, so, you know, it's all about you. So, right. Fallen Angel is now 20 years deep, and you guys are still producing. What have you learned over these years? You know what I mean? What is one of the main things? You know, at the end of a show, I always say, you know, what have you described in 2 words? But I like to know, what is the main thing you've learned over your time?
Well, it's not just about the money. You know, we are social influencers. We are people that are role models. And despite the fact that we don't want to believe that, right, it's true. There's people out there who are coming to pornography to learn how to have sex, right? So spend your time wisely. You know, do something that contributes to the world. Help people along. Even in the sex that you create, you know, like there's so much really like crass kind of violent stuff that's going on out there with people that has dehumanized the process on many levels.
Are you saying in the movies or?
Yeah, many of the movies that are made today now.
Regular movies or porno movies?
Porn movies.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically.
Yeah, I heard people.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, there's no love, right? Not much love.
I had somebody who came to the show. They had never been there before, and they said, it seems like there's no soul to this industry anymore. And I kind of believe that, you know, the camaraderie, the compassion that we had for one another, so much of that's thrown out the window, you know. And I hear other directors talk about, you know, yeah, this poor girl, she did so many anal scenes, you know, now she's prolapsed. And they don't realize that's a fucking permanent condition that's going to travel with that girl for the rest of her life, right? But she did too many anal scenes. So anyway, spend your time wisely, do things that contribute to the world, and try to show people around you that you care and that there's a little love left.
Do you think these type of feelings come with older age?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's called emotional maturity. Mm-hmm. Some people get it at 24, you know, mm-hmm. Some of us never do.
Yeah, no, I feel how you feel. I feel that if you're not on this planet contributing in a positive fashion, one way or another, you know, what the fuck? And then you just, especially if you keep taking, you know what I mean? What the fuck are you doing here? It doesn't really make sense to me, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's not what this show is about, but that's just my personal opinion. Yeah. So you're a doctorate now in sex, right? You want to bring this took you time, you know, and it took you effort and energy to get to this. And it's a proud accomplishment, I'm sure, right? Yeah. And it's a serious accomplishment. So what have you learned? What would both of you give to the people? I think I might touch on this a little bit, but let's touch it a little bit deeper on with both people here. What is the best advice you could give the people out there with your degrees in of sexuality for a couple to have better sex?
Be in the moment. It sounds simple, but it's hard.
And an extension of that is return to the physicality of sex, to the touch, right?
Yeah.
To your response to the touch. And try to lose all the preconceived notions and all the patterns that we develop early on about what we like and what we don't like, and stay in the moment and enjoy the physical sensations of what's going on. Like, really, people have to touch one another more. If you want the basic fundamental, you've got to reach out and touch one another more. But while you're doing it, while you're touching, be aware, be conscious of what you're feeling. Like, don't base it upon, oh, this girl's going to take her panties off and hang them on my bedpost, and that's what turns me on. Like, really stay focused, stay on the moment, stay on the sensations. That's where the great joy and the great love can be shown in sexuality.
That sounds good, but let me put this on top of that. Sometimes your brain, right, I'm guessing, can gather a lot of luggage on it, right? A lot of luggage, just like, a woman might grab,
Sure.
consider kids are luggage, right? So your brain's got this luggage from past experiences, pain, suffering, possibly fun, right? But still the luggage is there. How do you drop off that luggage, clear it, throw it away? What is your advice to that?
It's really fundamental and simple. You return to the breath. You breathe. You focus on your breath. I know it seems that's too simple, but if you're in the middle of a sexual encounter and your mind starts going off somewhere else, it can be meditative. Focus on the breath. Come back to the moment. Come back to the physicality, what it feels like to be touched. And then you're not worried about what your mother did to your nephew or all that garbage that we bring with us, right? Stay focused. Stay in the moment.
It's a trick, the breath. And it could be just a focus on the breath out. Versus like even breathing in and out, it might be too complicated. But if you focus on just that one breath out, it could snap you instantly out of that busy mind syndrome.
Well, what about this? What if you already got so much luggage, right? And before, you get started, or even way before you get started, the luggage is already there. You can't breathe the luggage away at that point in time because it's already there. Then what do you do? I mean, what do you suggest?
Practice.
Trying to get rid of it?
Yeah. No,
breath.
You don't try to get rid of it. You focus on the breath.
The breath.
By trying to get rid of it, you give it strength, as if you need to get rid of a thought. If you really, the breathing works. It seems too simple. It's like, no, wait a minute, I'm already fucked up.
I know.
Just
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah.
Go back to the breathing.
Yeah.
Focus on the breathing, and it'll return you to the physicality of what you're doing. That touch, that that baggage we carry around, it's called samskara, right? It's repeated patterns. And the way sexual behavior works, we tend to repeat things that work well and bring us pleasure. Even if they're negative things, right? We'll still repeat them, like the guy who's into the auto asphyxiation because it turns him off, and then suddenly he's killed himself from suffocation. So there's a lot of different techniques, right? But I really believe that just
Breathe.
the breath. It's what the yoginis teach. It's what Tantra teaches, right? All that Hindu, 6,000 years of civilization. That's what they have all figured out. It's repeating patterns. And if you can work on breaking those patterns, no matter what you need to do in order to get into that, break the patterns and return to the simplicity of sex. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Breath work.
I was just close it up. You guys have been here a long time. I tell you, I could wear you down, you know?
I was just going to
It's like in my seats, I can wear anybody down.
Right.
But here's the last question. You know, I always ask everybody.
Okay.
One at a time. Can you describe your experience in the business in 2 words? One at a time.
Ooh.
Take your time if you need it.
Oh.
Tick, 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 tick,
I was
tick,
going
tick,
to say, is lots of, one word? I was going to say lots of fun.
tick. Yeah, I can say it.
Fallen angel.
Ah, there you go.
What does
2
that
words. That's my company.
FallenAngel.tv.
That's my experience, Fallen Angel. There is a huge story behind that. You may need to bring me back.
mean? Okay.
Remember the kid who grew up in Hudson County, New Jersey, right? Went off to go live with monks when he was in 7th grade and lived with monks until I was a senior in high school.
Chinese monks?
No, Benedictine monks.
Okay.
Yep. So I was one of those Irish Catholic kids who got sent off to boarding school. Right? And that's where I got my love for education and academia and all that stuff. Yeah.
Kept you really calm so your brain could work, huh?
Yep.
Well, that's good. All right, so I appreciate you guys coming so much.
We appreciate you,
Absolutely.
TT.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
It's great to see you again.
You was,
Nice to see you.
You
Absolutely.
too. You
And that was a
too.
good time. You have a good
Cool. I'm good.
Thank
Hope
you
you're
for
happy.
making me come.